Hi, friends. Welcome back to episode 9 Anxiety Help. Do you suffer from anxiety? Do you wake up in the middle of the night in a panic? Or do you have feelings of fear for no reason at all? Well, stay tuned because we're going to be talking about what anxiety is, what to do if you have it, and what you can do to protect yourself and your children from the harmful effects of anxiety. Anxiety is not something you made happen because you did something or didn't do something. It is not your fault if you have anxiety. Now, anxiety is a mental condition that affects over 30% of the entire population. It's the most popular mental health condition that you can have. It includes panic disorder, specific phobias, separation anxiety disorder, social anxiety, and selective mutism. And it can escalate when things get out of balance. If you have anxiety, it's not your fault. It's not here because you did something or you didn't do something. Rather, if you have anxiety, it's usually due to genetics. If your parents are anxious, then more than likely you are also anxious. Now, both my parents are anxious people. My mom has to take lorazepam during the day as needed. My dad doesn't have clinical anxiety, but I've seen him worry over things that he doesn't have control of, like the weather. Before COVID hit, I'm going to give you an example. We decided to take our daughters to the LPGA tournament that was held in our state. And this was back before COVID. It was summertime. We were all excited. We drove over 4 hours to find the location of this golf course, and we couldn't park at the golf course because there were so many people there. So we parked in a big parking lot. We were put on a coach bus, and the coach bus took us to the golf course. While we were riding on the coach bus, I could feel myself start to panic. What happened is we went up on the interstate, and I didn't know we were going on the interstate. And I asked my husband, "Where are we going?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know," which didn't make me feel better. For whatever reason, I just felt out of control. I felt like, well, where is this bus taking us? And then before I knew it, my palms started sweating and my breathing became shallow. And I realized, and I looked at him and I said, "I'm getting a panic attack." So I quickly grabbed my phone and I just like looked through iPhotos to try to distract myself. And it was probably 2 minutes we were on the highway, but it felt like 2 hours. Like I just felt like, I got to get off this bus. And it's embarrassing when it happens because you think everybody knows that you're panicking. So we got off the bus. And once my feet touched the floor, my breathing normalized and I was fine. And we had a great day that day. The girls got to get autographs and, meet real LPGA players. And that was so neat because all my daughters are golfers. And so, this is just one example of where it can just come out of nowhere. And it is embarrassing. So if you suffer from this, I want you to know you're not alone. It is the most common mental health disorder. And there are many things that you can do to treat it. And that's what I'm going to be talking about next. But first, did you know that anxiety can affect children as well as adults? There's a myth out there that it only affects adults. And I've seen adults, friends of mine, that kind of poo poo their children's anxiety and they say, "Oh, it's no big deal. You're fine. There's no boogeyman under the bed," whatever it would be. But I will give you an example in my family. I have had children in my household that have had real phobias and anxiety, and I don't dismiss them, but that doesn't mean that we ignore them. So, when this happened with one of my children, we took her to see a therapist and we worked through the phobia, which was actually thunderstorms. And she was terrified of tornadoes or some sort of natural disaster happening. And yes, it doesn't make sense. I mean, this is what phobias are. People can laugh at them, but the reality is that it does affect people. So if your child has anxiety, listen to them. Don't just chalk it off. Don't just dismiss them. Ask them where it's coming from and then work through that and encourage them to turn towards the fear and not away from the fear. Anxiety is nothing to be embarrassed about. In fact, we need to talk about it and we need to share coping mechanisms so that we can get stronger together as a community and we can first and foremost realize that we're not the only ones that suffer from anxiety. I myself cannot fly in an airplane without taking lorazepam. I cannot fly in an airplane because I have control issues from my childhood. And so I feel like when I express this and I talk about this, there are other people that will chime in and say, "Yeah, I feel uneasy on a plane," or sometimes I've had that too. And I think it's okay. I think it's good to talk about this and get it out from under the rug so other people can identify and say, yep, that's me too. Here's what I do to cope. Some people don't need medication. Some people just kind of do a crossword puzzle or they read a book or they can kind of distract themselves. But for others, and I'm one of those people, I just relax taking one little pill. My doctor calls it a martini pill. There is no shame in this. If you know that you're someone that's anxious and you already had a bad experience, for me, it was several panic attacks on a plane that left me feeling like I just wanted to die. I was so embarrassed. I did really literally feel like I was dying. That can be so traumatic that you'll never want to get on a plane again. And I remember researching this and finding out that it is quite common. But why is it that I had never heard of anyone else going through this? And so that's why I'm sharing my personal story of anxiety. And my families also struggle with anxiety. And I think it's very important to do these following things. So I'm going to give you 7 steps that we can use to fight against anxiety because let's face it, anxiety sucks. Okay, number one, self care. You need to take care of yourself, get lots of sleep, good food, take care of your gut. That is all going to help you with fighting against anxiety. Number two, distraction during a panic attack. Sometimes I have to talk through it. Sometimes I can't talk and I just need to like look at something or, try to distract myself, try to think of something happy. Usually it's whatever is making me uncomfortable. I need to get out of that somehow. So whatever it is, distract yourself. Sometimes you have to fake it until you make it. So if you find yourself in a panic and you don't have control over your surroundings, there are ways to distract your brain, refocus, look at a picture, hear a song, whatever it does, like something calming that will just kind of bring you back into your body, put your feet on the floor, take a deep breath. And, my husband's taught me like in through the nose, out through the mouth, just whatever techniques. And again, you can work with a therapist on this, but distraction helps. Number three, pivoting and making changes after I notice anxiety. So this might include me saying no to some things. Maybe I'm just too like busy and I need to just take things and eliminate them from the schedule. So this will happen when I have a deadline or something coming up and I'll notice 3, 4 nights in a row that I can't maintain sleep or I get up and I'm worried about something. That means something has to change. Otherwise, the anxiety is going to get worse. Number four, laughter, funny movies. So one on one interaction with someone really makes a difference. It can just be as much as, yeah, having a chuckle or even just meaningful conversation will help you get through your anxiety. Number five, feeling supported by friends and family. This is huge. You need to tell people that you have anxiety. You need to say, gosh, this is really embarrassing, but sometimes I have panic attacks, or sometimes I feel anxious, or sometimes I get scared about spiders or about death or whatever it is. And your friends will say, hey, it's okay. I'm here for you. And this helps too. Like if you're someone that gets anxious in the car, sometimes I get panic attacks in the car. I will tell my friend, like, hey, I'm just feeling anxious. And if this happens, it's embarrassing. And they'll be like, "Pff, who cares? Put on the radio. It's all good. By being open in your communication, you're going to get that support back. Number six, trusting my doctor and my therapist. So that's having all the tools in my toolbox to deal with anxiety, having lorazepam on hand that if I need it, I have it. This has come in handy and I really rely on my doctor. I communicate with my doctor and let her know how I'm feeling and my therapist as well. So that's very important. And trust me, if you have anxiety, you need this. Now, there is a statistic out there that anxiety is totally treatable, but only 1 out of 3 people will actually seek help from a therapist or from a doctor. So if that's you, stop it. Go get help. You don't need to go through this alone. You can cure this. You can do this. Even if it's not 100% cure, it's treatable. Number seven, turn towards your fears and not away from them. Again, this is so important to not turn away from fears. We all have them, and this is just, we're not going to get through life without fears. So turn towards them, and that will help you become stronger and fight against anxiety. I hope this gave you some hope. If you suffer from anxiety, just know you're not alone. That fact alone will help you continue on day after day. I'm going to leave you a Bible verse that will give you comfort. It's First Peter 5:7. It says, casting all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. So cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. And I think that's very simply stated, but it's true. The Lord does love you. He does care for you. He doesn't want you to be anxious. So if you are battling with anxiety, just know that you are not alone and the Lord is there for you. We're there for you. Please comment, like, share if this content meant something to you. Thank you so much and God bless.